What is up guys, it's Troy at the Full Setup back with another review for you, and today we are going to review this, the Fourze GM800 Ultralight mouse. And do you know what's quite odd? I actually went back through, I was going through all my channel videos, got so many videos on just various bits of PC hardware, gaming, loads of keyboard reviews. Really odd that I didn't have a mouse review. So if you do like this, I do think it's something I'm going to start doing, you know, some more of, and I am actually getting quite a few new accessories at the moment. I want to make everything on the desk matchy, but as you can see right here, and as you'll see in a minute, the GM800, I know what you're thinking, a Model O clone. You're going to try and sell me a cheaper Model O clone, because you can get loads of mice that look like this. I'm going to put it down because this fucking cable's doing my head in. You can get loads of mice that look like the Model O, starting from like 10 to 15 pounds if you order it from China. And then if you want something with a bit of a better sensor in it, something that's a bit more capable, you're talking 20 to 25 pounds. Let's pick it back up. But this is an oddity, right? Because this mouse retails at about 45 pounds. That's the cheapest I've found it. Most retail outlets I've spotted it on, it's actually closer to 55, 60 pounds, which is more than the Model O. I mean, the Model O retails between the same price as well, 45, 55 if you ended up wanting one of the ones that's like glossy, but it's often on sale as well. So this is odd because I don't think I've ever seen a clone sell for the same price or more than the originals. So I'm going to take you in for a full up and close seat of the mouse in a second. Going to show you all the features, going to show you a couple of features that are actually better than the Model O. And then I'm going to do a full demo of the software, and then I'm going to come back at the ends of my video, do your full pros and cons on whether I think you should go and buy this GM800 that I've been using for about a month now. As well as the GM800, Fourze also sent over their 9030 extended gaming surface and a large promotional mouse mat which I've been using for the last few weeks. As for the unboxing experience, the mouse is really well packaged, but one thing I was very disappointed not to see was some spare feet for the mouse. Now, although plenty of big brands do not include spare feet, they are generally very easy to find on Amazon and eBay due to the large volumes those mice sell at. I do believe that Fourze really missed an opportunity to add to the value of this mouse with what is essentially an extremely cheap accessory to include. That being said, having a better look at the bottom of the mouse, it does appear that the feet do look completely identical to those of the Model O. And that is probably the best place to start with this mouse because it is a complete clone of the Model O. But with a retail price of £45, it comes in at the same price. So why would you buy a clone that costs the same? Well, the GM800 packs the top of the range Pixart 3389 sensor versus the Model O's 3360 sensor. Now, I don't personally own the Model O, but I do have mice with the 3360 sensor in it. Honestly, I am noticing a slight difference. The 3389 does feel a touch more accurate, but part of me thinks this is sort of a placebo effect. You know, better sensor equals better gamer kind of nonsense. The GM800 is also a touch heavier at 72 grams versus the Model O's 67 grams, but I very much doubt you will notice the 5 grams weight difference. Now, this is my first ultralight gaming mouse, with most of my other mice coming in at around that 100 grams area. Again, this is something that I didn't really think I would notice, but I also purchased the Razer Basilisk the same week, and I was shocked at just how much lighter it felt. At first I wasn't completely sold and kept going back to the Basilisk, but after a few weeks of gaming at my normal 800 DPI with my muscle memory adjusted, the GM800 has been a joy to game with. That being said, I do keep hopping between the two mice depending on what style of game I'm playing. Now, another big difference between the GM800 and the Model O is the positioning of the RGB, with Fourze going for a bottom RGB strip. At first, I thought this was a bit odd that it does not glow through the honeycomb section, but on second thoughts, your hands will be covering this while gaming, so although it doesn't have the killer Instagram photo appeal of the Model O, I do prefer this style of RGB. My one complaint is that although both the Fourze logo and scroll wheel do light up, they do not sync with the bottom of the mouse and only light to your chosen DPI, but the colour can be customised to your taste. There will be a full software demo at the end of the video of all the RGB effects for you. And finally, the most important thing, how does this mouse feel to use? Well, there is a reason I keep jumping to the Basilisk, as I do love a thumb rest, but the GM800 is a super comfy mouse and perfect for my palm grip style of gaming. The Pixart 3389 sensor is an absolute joy to use. It's fast, accurate, and has a huge range of DPI to meet any gamer's needs. The mouse glides like butter across the included mouse mat, and I have thoroughly enjoyed using it these past few weeks. Both the left and right Hawano switches feel great, and the scroll wheel has a lovely tactile feel. But these are both sadly let down by the back and forward buttons. Honestly, at first I hated them. They are a touch too stiff and are much smaller than my other mice. I was fine with the forward button, but the back button was just not comfortable for me at first. But after a few weeks use, they do feel like they have loosened up since day one. And with the muscle memory adjusted, I've gone from disappointed to acceptable when it comes to those side buttons. So the software for the GM800 is freely available to download from Fourze's website. It's pretty basic, but it's got really everything that you need for a mouse in a little piece of software. So you can customize any of the buttons that you want. So for example, we could assign one a macro, so we'll just go to test, let's go new macro, test do, start record, and we could just do all that sort of stuff in it, stop record, and there you go. And then we can assign one of those macros to a certain key. But I'm not someone that ever uses macros, but if you are, that could be something that's very useful for you. Now there's also the DPI color, which I spoke about earlier in the video. So if we change DPI, should change the color of our mouse. Apparently that only works when you press the mouse to change the color. So we can change the DPI to what you want. I've always gone with pink, blue, but I'm going to change it to sort of magenta. I always pronounce that word wrong, and we'll set that one to blue. Oh, there we go. So now it is changed to the right DPI. So maybe that was just me messing around. You can also change the XY axis for the DPI as well. I don't know why I always go with magenta. I think it's because a mouse that I had a few years ago, that's what their 800 DPI color was, and you couldn't change it. So I've just always got used to that's the color I should be on. We'll look at the lighting last. Then we have some mouse parameter settings, so we can change the mouse sensitivity, improve point of precision, that should be turned off. You can then have scroller speed, double click speed, and then there is the lift off distance, which I didn't cover earlier in the video. So you can set that between 2 or 3 millimeters. Now next there is the polling rate. And as you can see, this is my con for the mouse, my big con, because the polling rate has reset itself to 125 Hertz when we want it to 1000. So that would be the 4th time I've had to do that since owning this mouse. That's the 4th time I've had to set it to 1000 Hertz polling rate. And I just don't understand. Most gamers, they're always going to set it to the highest polling rate. So I don't understand why all companies just don't do it fixed. But big con there. And then there is the debounce time, which I've not really played around because it says warning. Normally I play with warning stuff, but I don't know what that does. Right then, so let's have a little look at the lighting. So we are on colorful streaming. And we can change the speed. Only 3 settings for the speed. That should be speeding right up, but we'll go for the slowest today because it's easier to catch on camera. Then there is steady. So just a solid color that you can have. And it's not changing to its color. Why? Okay. So it doesn't like yellow. And blue it thinks is green. So the software definitely needs some work here. Let's try yellow again. No, it's gone to red. Oh, that's a big fail on the software, isn't it, really? And then you have the colourful tail one. So it's annoying you can't do the static colours, although I imagine most people are just going to sort of set these sort of effects ones, you know, I don't know what neon is. Oh, neon's like a cycle through life. Speed it up. Colourful steady. Definitely got issues with the software, haven't we? Especially when it comes to the light. What stars twinkle. So there we go. That's just more of a blocky, multicolored RGB. And then we got wave. So there was the review then, and just a couple of things that I left out on the bottom as well, which I sort of mentioned in the software. There is a lift off distance button which you can change between 2 and 3 millimeters. It's kind of a cool feature, but I don't really think it needs to be there if you can do it in software, although that's what we'll get to in a minute, the software. And then also the cable as well. I forgot to mention I didn't really like the cable at first because it's quite thick, and it's, I don't know if you'll be able to see this on screen, but it's, you can almost slide it back, and that is actually like what a few other mice companies do. I think Razer are doing it as well at the moment. It's sort of, they're saying, even though it's a thicker cable, it's like a speed cable, so it doesn't actually, you know, make as much contact. You don't get as much drag with it with the mouse, and that was one of my main worries when as soon as I opened the mouse and put it down, I was like, is this going to get loads of drag? Have I got a really light mouse but it's going to drag loads because of the cable? And actually it's a good idea. I think it looks shit. I really don't like it. But if it's going to be less drag and it's going to be better for gaming, then cool. But which brings me over to, can I recommend this mouse? Now I can look past the side buttons that I didn't like. Part of the reason, oh look at my, oh, this looks terrible. But basically I like to, there's no way I can get that on camera. I like to roll my thumb backwards and forwards. And I find that when I do that, because of the small buttons, it makes my finger, it's going to be really hard for me to see. I just look like an idiot. But basically, I like to roll my thumb backwards and forwards. And when I do it because of the smaller buttons, it makes my left click finger lift off the mouse. And I can look past that, okay? I can look past that sort of issue with the small buttons, okay? And I can almost look past the issues with the RGB, with it not setting. Maybe I was doing something wrong there. Alright, but the one area where I'm going to find it really hard to recommend this mouse to you is going to be down to the software. So, like I said, that was the 4th, maybe even the 5th time that I had to change the polling rate on it. Okay, so it was set to 125 Hz instead of 1000. It was actually set to 125 Hz for that bit of footage that you would have seen in the gaming. I was having a bit of a bad day that day actually as well. I was thinking, something doesn't feel quite right here, and I totally forgot to look. Which is something that you shouldn't have to do. And also that enhanced point of precision. I turned that off the first time I got this out of the box, and it turned itself back on again. So there is definitely issues with the software. And that is a problem when you're buying something from a brand that's not as big. And I'm not trying to say that all big brands have good software. That's automatically what you're going to get. Like, I'm not a fan of Logitech software at all. I'm not that big on Corsair software either. Don't mind Cooler Masters. Absolutely love Razers. So it's not like, you know, it's not like that you're going to get good software just because you're buying a brand. But then, like I said earlier, again with the feet, the fact that you can't buy any feet. The mice from those brands are sold in such high volume that if there is a problem with the software, it all gets reported on forums, people whinge about it, people speak about it in YouTube reviews, like a lot of YouTube reviews, not just like something that's not going to get as many. Then they go out and they sort it, and their software guys sort it out for you. So that's something where I would say is a bit of a concern from here. Obviously, I said about the feet. I mentioned that a few times. They do look to be the same as the Model O. So it has got a better sensor though. Okay, it's got a slightly better sensor. But as I said earlier in the review, I don't know how much of that is placebo effect. That I'm just feeling like, okay, I've got a better sensor, so I'm going to gain better. Maybe I'm just a bit more, I don't know. Maybe I just feel more unstoppable, more invincible. You know, that does happen. But honestly, the 3360 sensor in the Model O is perfectly fine. I mean, that is an extremely good gaming sensor. There's a reason that is used in so many mice. But if you did want the 3389 and then you didn't want the software, you didn't want to be changing the polling rate all the time, I think, is it the Cooler Master MM710? Which is a super light mouse. I think that mouse comes in at like 55, 56 grams. And that's got the 3389 sensor in it. And that mouse is available to pick up for about £40 as well. But it is, by the looks of it, I'm thinking about getting one, but it is quite small. I do love the colour. I actually really like the colour of this, the blue. Sadly though, they were supposed to send me the white version to go with my white keyboard, so I did have to go out and buy keycaps to go on my keyboard. But I think after saying some bad things about the software and that you should probably buy a Model O, they're probably not going to send me anything else ever again. But there we go. Should we just leave it as that? That is the review. Yeah, I think that's it. So if you want an ultralight mouse with the 3389 sensor in it, then you could possibly consider this. If you don't mind changing your polling rate on a regular basis or checking before you're going into games, then this is the mouse for you. But if you just want your mouse, you want to set it up, do all your settings, and then that's what it's going to stay at, then I probably wouldn't buy that one.